Revelation 2560. From the 24th of November 1942. Word dispute and its consequences. Every spiritual word dispute has a beneficial effect, for as soon as the human being expresses an opposing opinion, he takes a stand on the matter in dispute, and thus his train of thought is stimulated. But spiritual forces can reveal themselves to the thinking human being, that is, knowing beings can try to influence him mentally, but this is not possible if the human being does not take a closer look at a problem which is to be solved. It will indeed be a battle between the knowing beings and those who stand in ignorance and want to transfer such to the human being. But time and again the human being will be reminded of what knowledgeable beings have imparted to him, and with goodwill those objections will remain in place in order to then become more and more the human being's spiritual property if he thinks about them for longer. That is why opposing views can often contribute to clarification. The disputants will express themselves, that is, both opinions, and the bearer of truth will always be able to chalk up a small success. For once a question has been raised and a position taken on it, it always stimulates people to think again. In addition, however, the bearers of truth will also be able to defend their view skillfully and convincingly, thus to beat the opponent with words which, however, are not to be dismissed as empty words. He will be able to justify everything he says and thereby make the opponent unable or unwilling to fight. He will be victorious because good, knowing forces support him. He will speak convincingly because he knows about the context of the whole and therefore not only expresses his opinion learnedly but feels what he represents. And the more willing and truth-loving the opponent is, the quicker he will agree with the other's opinion, because he will then find the right thoughts and be convinced of the truth of what his opponent represents. For to argue is to encounter resistance, and strength can be tested by resistance. As soon as a fighter does not find resistance, the dispute comes to an end. But God forms fighters for his kingdom. He wants the human being to fight against that which does not correspond to his will. He wants the human being to represent to himself and the world what he deems to be right. Therefore he must fight against what seems wrong to him. And since God promises his help to his disputants, the disputant must also be successful if he stands up for God and thus respects divine will. For then God himself will stand by his side, he will speak through the person devoted to him, thus God himself will fight. He will try to spread the truth but always leave the untruth alone so that it will be recognized as such and cause the adversary to fiercely defend himself. For only then can he succeed in awakening doubts in him as to the truthfulness of his views, and if he starts to think about it, spiritual support can be granted to him and he can be mentally introduced to the truth. Amen.